On with Hulk Hogan, Buck Zumhofe, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was around before the WWE. Hey, hello, wrestling fans, wake up. Hulk Hogan and rock and roll, we were number one. Anyway, we wrestled Bobby Heenan in Chicago. We wrestled him in Winnipeg. We wrestled him in Green Bay, in Denver, San Francisco, Salt Lake City. We wrestled him all over the place. They were singing songs about me in San Francisco. We had our big heyday at that time.
Okay.
All right. Then I ran with Hogan and with Bobby Heenan and this broken radio. I got on television. He broke my radio. I got it all on tape. It's all on my YouTube. You can see it. I'm crying. I'm going to kill him. He broke my radio. We ran this whole thing for about 4 years. Okay?
Okay. I'm with you.
All right. Then, now, Iceman King Parson. Do you know Iceman King Parson?
I sure do.
Yeah. I love him. He's my friend. He does We Are Family.
I remember that.
And he was wrestling the Freebirds, and they needed some crazy guy who also had music and also, the same kind of character, except, obviously I'm white. He's black. We were the perfect tag team. So Fritz Von Erich calls me, says he's got the Von Erichs down there. He's got the Long Riders down there. He'd like to have me come down and tag up with Iceman King Parsons. Well, I went and talked to Vern Gagne. Vern's he's the one that trained me. He's the godfather. So, I'm not going to run away. I went and talked business. I said, they'd like to have me down there. And, can he give me up for a year or two? And he said, absolutely. So then Iceman King Parsons and we beat the Long Riders at Texas Stadium on the same show where Kerry Von Erich beat Ric Flair for the belt.
Okay.
That's on my site, too, I think, someplace.
Okay.
But anyway, Iceman and King Parsons and we were the Texas Tag Team Champions for about a year or so. And then the Freebirds were fighting the Von Erichs, and old man Fritz came out of retirement, and that was what that... And then Kerry wrestled... Ric Flair, so it was there was like 40,000 people at that show, which was a huge show back then.
Yeah, I think all the tape collectors, I remember seeing this show. I definitely remember this show.
Okay. All right. Now here's where I made a mistake. I apologize. I'm sorry more to myself. When I came back to Minnesota in 88 from Texas, you could see then that the WWE was rolling. You with me now? WWE was stealing everybody. They took all the guys from Portland. They took all the guys from California. They took all the guys from Minnesota. They took all the guys from Atlanta. They took all the guys from Georgia, everywhere. So now I called Vince, and I wanted to work for him too, but I was maybe a little too old, or I wasn't big enough, or I didn't do roids or something. I don't know why. I still don't know why. I worked for Vince lots of times, but he never really ever gave me, like a push or anything. But that's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not nothing. I guess he just, I don't know what, he brought in the honky-tonk man who's exactly my gimmick,
Right.
I like the honky-tonk. I use him on my shows once in a while. Okay?
Well, I have a question if you don't mind me interrupting. I just wanted you, because during my fondest memories of you, I do recall, as you stated earlier, you were actually, when you were in Minnesota and you were wrestling with the AWA, you were there with a lot of big names, and as you also mentioned, a lot of talent was stolen from these different territories. And it's almost in the sense where if younger wrestling fans don't know the way that it seems the WWE machine like to rewrite history and make it as though the different characters or the different talent that you see today, that they actually created them. Can you give us some of your fondest memories and actually let some of the younger wrestling fans in the audience know what are some of your fondest memories of Hulk Hogan, Bobby Heenan, Stan Hansen, the Long Riders, Rick Martel, Jesse Ventura.
Wow. Well, okay. I still love him. I think he's great. Roddy Piper, okay?
Yes, sir.
I think, I met him out in, when we were in Portland, Washington, wrestling for Don Owens Big Time Wrestling.
Okay.
And the promoter out there, Dutch Savage, he was the promoter of Washington. And he can come and beat me up. I don't care. He's a jerk. But, that's between him and I. Maybe there's somebody out there that likes him. I doubt it. But he was the promoter, okay?
Okay.
Now, I'm going to try to explain this nice and easy.
Okay. I'm with you.
All right. Roddy Piper is in the ring playing that bagpipe.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. You're with me, right?
I'm with you.
And you know what I'm doing, right?
I'm with you, Buck.
I got everybody clapping, chanting rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
So now I raise my hands like Hulk Hogan. I'm going to get to Hulk Hogan in a minute. I raise my hands up like a preacher, and they get louder and louder, and they're chanting rock and roll. And while they're doing that, I can see Roddy's looking in my eyes, and he says, "Go for it, go for it." And he's getting the microphone, and he's playing them bagpipes louder and louder and louder, and I'm making the people chanting louder and louder and louder, and we were like the third match on the card. And we tore the place apart in Seattle, right up there where that dome is and all that stuff. Now listen to me.
Okay.
Dutch Savage has got one of these stupid coal miner glove matches with Playboy Buddy Rose. And you know how many, after our show, after the Roddy Piper business, the rock and roll business, the people were even too pooped out to give a rat's ass about that coal miner match.
Wow.
I thought that Dutch Savage was going to kill me. Know what he told me? Don't you ever make those people cheer like that. And when he's playing those bagpipes, you keep your mouth shut. What an idiot. What a fool. He was so jealous that he couldn't follow our match.
Classic.
Okay, you know Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
I love Hulk.
Legendary.
I helped him get started. When he got up here, he wasn't very good yet, You know that business where he puts his hand behind his ear when he wants the people to cheer louder?
Similar to rock and roll, huh?
You know where he got that from? Me.
Where?
Where you put your hand behind your ear and you want the people to cheer louder?
Yeah. Definitely.
I did that. I've done that 10 years before he even got into the ring. I always laugh when he does that. He stole that from me.
One of his classic spots.
Yeah, right.
That's funny. It's almost, you would almost think that was his trademark.
Well, that the Ultimate Warrior, he put Bobby Heenan into the weasel suit, and everybody says that's the first time that Bobby Heenan was in the weasel suit. I got Bobby Heenan in my match way back in the early 80s. It's on my site, rockandrollwrestling.com, where I put Bobby Heenan in the weasel suit in Winnipeg, Manitoba. You can look at the site right now and see it.
Okay.
That's how silly they are.
Now, I came on the line a little late, and I was I think I heard you mentioning it a little, but and from all the legendary stories I've heard about the training camp that you went through, and I just wanted to know if you could go into detail just how grueling was the training.
Well, yeah, he spoke on that. He spoke on that earlier.
I couldn't do it again, obviously. And if they really, you remember the Sheik Khosrow series?
Definitely.
He's the one that trained us. He's the one that trained us. He was like a goddamn, like a drill sergeant, worse than that. He was preparing us for the goddamn Olympics or something, in his mind.
Now, would you think that type of training is relevant today?
Oh, If they did that today, there wouldn't be any wrestlers. There wouldn't be any wrestlers if they did that today. There wouldn't. I mean, it's a fact. And I'm talking about, an Olympic caliber kind of guy. That would be the only kind of guys there would be in this business. And I'm not making fun. I love Jerry Blackwell. He left us a few years ago. Was one of my best friends. But there's no way in God's world that he could ever went through a camp like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a man his size, I figured that would definitely take its toll on him.
Yeah, you'd have a heart attack, or you'd lose so much weight that you need, and you guys understand that, and all the people in the world understand that. You need some fine-tuned athletes in professional wrestling, but you need a handful of characters. If let's say if every wrestler was 6'4" and weighed 240 pounds, and they're all identical, and they all wore black boots, and they all wore a black trunks, and they all had black hair, well, what the hell would it sure wouldn't be a show. I'm big into Barnum and Bailey, boy. The more you got, the more you sell,
Right.
So you need the 400. You need Andre. I have a kid that wrestles for me. He's 7'1", 400 plus pounds. He's a big draw for my company. I have 4 midgets. I have 2 guy midgets and 2 girl midgets. My girl midgets are the number 1 draw in my company. My 2 girl midgets.
Awesome. That's something you don't see every day.
Right. Well, so it isn't. Well, so I'm telling you is that your average 6'1", 6 foot tall, 220-pound guy is not the big sell in professional wrestling. The big sell is some of those guys and a few characters. Well, you know that. You got to mix it up. If you have everybody looks alike, or even if you got all midgets. The first match is a midget match, the second match is a midget match, the third match is a midget match, the fourth match, well, I think after the third match you've probably seen enough for a while. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I believe. It's like
definitely. One of our listeners just sent in a question, and it's about rock and roll wrestling. If you could talk a little bit about your promotion and how and why you started it.
Okay. Well, there's 2 reasons. First of all, when I started my own wrestling, I don't like to bring up age necessarily, but I wasn't even 50 years old yet, So I'm not old enough to retire, and I'm not, and don't get me wrong, I love most people, but my situation, I wasn't going to go back into the workforce. Wasn't going to be a bartender or work at McDonald's or, be a gas jockey. No. So there's only one thing I could do, and that was put myself on the independent list or start my own wrestling. Okay? Okay. So what happened is that I put my name out there, and I'd get a call here, and I'd get a call there, and I'd fly to, I'd go to California maybe, or I'd go to Portland, or I'd go to Denver, once every 2 months. I said, well, this, I can't afford, you can't make a living doing that. So I said to them, and now the clincher was my daughter.